My name is Sydney Leach, and I chose to examine Giant John by Arnold Lobel. This book is appropriate for first grade readers because of its simple sentence structure and frequent use of illustrations to convey the reactions of characters not explicitly described in the text. Before reading this book, who can tell me what it might be about based on the cover? On the first page, we see John holding small forest animals. What does this tell us about John? Is he a gentle giant? The illustration acts as an introduction to John's kind characterization, and we are able to see here that John is happy and carefree. Long ago in an enchanted forest, there lived a large giant named John. The fairies, who also lived in the forest, played magic dancing music for John. He had to dance and could not stop until the music stopped. The dancing made John's big feet hurt, but he thought it was great fun. In the evening, he would pick a bouquet of trees and take them home to his mother. "We are poor," sobbed Mrs. Giant. "There are only 2 potato chips in the cupboard, and we have no money to buy more food." After they ate the potato chips, John said, "Do not cry, Mother. Soon we will have some money. I will go out into the world to find a job." Mrs. Giant made John wear his rubbers and carry his umbrella. "Goodbye, Mother," said John as he started on his journey. If you were John, do you think you'd leave home to support yourself and your family? Do you think it's fair that John leaves to find work? John walked very far out into the world. He saw mountains and tigers and thunderstorms. He saw a beautiful castle. "Look, look," cried the king and queen and princess and dog, who lived in the castle. "Here comes a giant." "Hello," called John. "I am looking for a job." "Stay a while and work for us," said the king. John liked the king and queen and princess and dog. He decided to stay and went right to work. When it rained, he kept the castle dry. And when it was sunny and hot, he blew a pleasant breeze. He helped the queen do the laundry and played horsey to make the dog and princess laugh. John cleaned and dusted the castle every day. The king and queen and princess and dog were very happy. They did not even mind when John's snoring kept them awake at night. On Saturday, the king gave John a big bag of gold for all the hard work he had done. "We'll have a picnic lunch before you go home," said the queen. Suddenly, a cloud of fairies appeared. "We missed you, Giant John," they said. "There's no one to dance to our magic music. We came to play for you." The fairies began to play the magic dancing music. John began to dance. "Ouch!" said the king and queen and princess and dog as they fell to the ground. "Stop, stop!" shouted John, but the fairies kept playing their music, and John danced and danced. By looking at his face, can you tell that John is unhappy? Why do you think the fairies didn't notice how he was feeling? John could not stop dancing. He danced everywhere. He danced on the flowers and on the dog's tail. He danced on the castle. "You foolish fairies," cried John. "Stop that terrible music." What do you think will happen next, now that John has accidentally broken the castle? The fairies did not stop their music. The fairies did stop their music. They saw what they had done and were very sorry. The king and queen and princess and dog were all crying. But Giant John did not cry. He began to put the castle back together again. The fairies helped too. They bandaged the flowers and the dog's tail. John worked hard, and as soon as the castle was fixed, It did not look quite the same as before, but the king and queen and princess and dog dried their eyes and thought it was beautiful. "Now I must go home," said John, putting on his rubbers and hat. He promised to visit often and kissed the king and queen and princess and dog goodbye. John rushed home to visit his mother with a bag of gold. "Look, mother," he called, "I have earned some money for us." By this time, Mrs. Giant was very, very hungry. She was glad to see John and his bag of gold coming through the door. That night, John and his mother invited the fairies to dinner. They did not dance, but they ate baked beans and sang many songs and lived happily ever after. Now that we have finished the story, who can tell me how John changed throughout the book? At the beginning of the story, John is carefree, and then he starts his transition into a responsible, helpful giant when he volunteers to go find work. And then he becomes even more helpful and responsible when he holds himself accountable for knocking down the castle, which he remedies by rebuilding. The story is set in a fantasy world in medieval times. This is conducive to the story because it allows Lobel to utilize fantastical elements like fairies and magical music. The story wouldn't make sense if it was set in modern day because royalty would not employ a giant whom they just met to be their handyman. Also, as a giant, John would face possible opposition from the public, which is why Lobel chose this setting.